Hey, good evening once again. Jeff Knutson coming to you from Orange Park, Florida, talking to you about the Red Sea Max 250 unit. Got some requests from some video watchers that they'd like to know a little bit more about a couple things on the system. We've gone through the nitrogen cycle, setting the tank up, an infestation of ick, which is getting better, I think, and a few other things. But tonight we're going to talk about the overflow, the sump, and more importantly the skimmer, protein skimmer, which according to the reviews has some issues. I've experienced those issues, but I want to tell you that would certainly not prevent me from buying the unit, and I'll show you how I have adjusted the skimmer, got it working just fine. So there are two or three other things, couple other things that I want to share with you that I think were I building this system would have done a little differently. But overall, I would recommend this system. Give it 5 stars, even with the 2 or 3 things. It's just a dynamite setup. So I'm going to flip the camera around once again. For those of you who watched the videos before, you're pretty used to this scenario, and I'll be right back with you. Okay, there's the system. I normally do these videos on one take, and as bad as they are, I still post them, but I tried to do it a minute ago, and it took me 13 minutes. So here's the redo, take 2. Anyway, this is the Red Sea Max 250. I've got the top opened up into the first fold of the flip up part of the hood. As you can see, I've got some special lighting, special studio lighting for tonight's video, because we are going to be turning the lights off. The hood does open up in 3 positions. This is the first one. Call this the feeding stage. You just flip the very front of the top back, and you can also, because it's an all-inclusive system, you can take your hydrometer, your Red Sea Max hydrometer, and do your water salinity testing, set it right in there, and there you go. You can see exactly what your salinity is. Don't have anything in here right now. And also you can take your test kits, do your testing, and put 4 of your test tubes in these holes right along here. I wouldn't suggest you drip your chemicals in over the tank, but you could if you wanted to. Just bear in mind your fish may not appreciate it if you miss. Now, as I said, this is an all-inclusive system. That's part of the reason I bought it, but it was a 1 cord out system. In other words, everything ran the electrical off of 1 cord. Well, I had to add a chiller and a UV sterilizer, and now I have 3 cords out. My suggestion to Red Sea Max would be, on the right side here, you have a electrical control panel with 5 switches, 2 pumps, your heater, your protein skimmer, and your light. Actually, it says lights, but it's actually the whole hood. My suggestion would be a couple auxiliaries. There's plenty of room up here where the plugs all go in, to maybe from the backside run the plugs for the chiller and the UV sterilizer up there, and have on-off switches within the unit. And again, back to the 1 plug-in system, the 1 wire out system. I'm going to briefly close this top part again and show you a couple of access panels on the top. The one here on the right is for your timer. You can adjust the timer, turn it off and on with the timer. And these 2 switches, the back one is for your moonlights, to turn them off and on manually, and also for your heater fans, excuse me, the cooling fans for the hood. So you can use those manually or leave it run automatically, as I do all the time. In the middle here, you can access your skimmer. The reviews on this skimmer have not been good. However, I just emptied the skimmer cup, and let's just see what's going on here. Bubbles everywhere. Again, I don't have any trouble with this skimmer. As soon as there was protein in the tank to skim, it started skimming it, and I have had no problem dialing it in or out. Right here on this side is your venturi for your bubbles to adjust the airflow. And the skimmer cup is this whole top unit here. It does pull up in 2 stages. The top one comes off so you can check the levels, and then the whole thing comes up as a unit. I will open the top now the rest of the way and try not to mess things up with the camera here as I do it. I'm going to shut the lights off. Apologize again for my camera man lack of abilities. And first thing you do is flip the top front off like we had it. And again, this is hard to do one-handed, but you lift and snap in both sides. It's a two-handed job normally. And when you have it in this position, it's open at about a 45-degree angle. You can pretty much do anything you need to do as far as manipulating and moving your coral around, rocks around, dipping fish in and out. Just pretty much anything you need to do. However, if you need to access the back parts of the tank, all you have to do is snap this side and unsnap this side, lift it up, it'll hinge right here, snap that in, it hinges right there, whoops, hinges right here, snap that in, and now the full top of the tank almost at a 90-degree angle is exposed. Now, I will show you real quickly that you can be easily blinded doing it with the lights on. You can hear the fans fire up, and we're going to shut those lights off. And from right to left, right here is where the wiring runs down to the switch panel. This is where I added the chiller and the UV sterilizer, which goes out of the back. Similar hose barbs on the back side pointing down, makes the plumbing real easy, and in fact this whole thing pulls out. Below this portion of the in the sump here is the pump that runs the lower pressure, lower volume I should say, pump, and that's the one again with the chiller and the UV sterilizer on it. You have your heater here, which I have turned off currently because the tank runs plenty warm without it. And again, you can access the whole skimmer from right here. And it's bubbling a little hot and heavy right now. I fooled with it after I messed with the skimmer cup cleaning it out. And you can see it's bubbling plenty strong. To the left of that, you have the start of the main part of your sump. In here, you have your active charcoal filters, 2 of them, some ceramic filter media at the bottom, and over here on the far left is a foam pump, a foam filter above the higher pressure, higher volume pump that pumps on this side. There are also 2 heat activated blower fans that will keep the tank as cool as possible. They're like an exhaust type fan that blow water over. One blows, I believe, in, and one blows out, blowing water over the blowing air over the water and blowing air out of the back of the tank. So that is pretty much the tank as far as the way it sets up, the way it is put together. You can adjust very easily the overflow right here. You can also check the water level in the sump without ever raising the hood on this side right here. And generally speaking, you want that overflow at about 50%, and the sump at 50%, I should say, and as you can see, that's about where mine is. That brings us to the other flaw that I feel the system has, which is the pump 1, or the left side pump, needs to have a different type of nozzle. It's blowing plenty of flow, and it works very well, but as you can see, I've adapted a nozzle cover, which is nothing more than an uptake from an old hang-on pump, to kind of disperse the water coming out of that nozzle. As you can see, it is like a whirlwind coming out of there. You get a little bit of cyclonic action right back in here, and then you get the wave going up in the front of the tank. And they have actually, on this tank, put in a glass ridge to keep the water from that pump from going over the top, because I've seen older models of the 250 and they didn't have that piece, and they also didn't have as high powered pumps. So having said that, that and the additional electrical access to keep a one plug-in system would be the only two real features that I would be critical of. Again, like I said, the skimmer, as you can see, is not a problem. It may be bubbling a little hot and heavy right now, but with about 2 seconds worth of adjustment, it'll dial right in. In fact, I'm going to leave it like that for tonight and see how much actual waste I get in the skimmer cup. But that's about it. Appreciate you taking the time, and we'll be back at you with some more news probably tomorrow. Have a great night. Come back and check in with us often. Appreciate you watching.